So I wanted to make a quick little video, a follow-up video, 2021 update about using the CBX. I made a video 7-8 years ago when the CBX first opened and highlighting some of the tips for going through, and since then we've continued to use it. Personally, myself, my family, and I have probably gone through almost 30 times. I think it's been great. For the most part, it's been pretty efficient. But I've noticed in recent months, the last 3 or 4 times we've used it, the traffic has been excessive. If you're planning on using the CBX, make sure that you go online and fill out your immigration form in advance. That's going to save you some time and some hassle of having to wait in line to do it there. Also, because of COVID, there's a health questionnaire that you should fill out. That may or may not be going away in the next few months, so you'll want to check that. I'll also put the link to that website in the description of this video. Other than that, I'll tell you, the last time we used the CBX, we arrived 3 hours before our scheduled departure. By the time we got to the check-in line for our airline, which was Volaris, and that's a whole nother story, it took almost 2 hours to get there. And then when we got to that line to check in, the gate attendant, or the person at the check-in counter, said that the flight was already closed. And we started to question this, and we put a little more pressure on them, and they were able to get us our boarding passes so we could get on the flight. We actually already had our boarding passes. We had printed them the night before. And that, one of the things I've never been a fan of is flying on Volaris early in the mornings out of the Tijuana airport, or maybe just early mornings out of most airports, because that's when they seem to always be overwhelmed with flights. They always seem to be limited on staff, and they're notorious for overbooking their flights. It actually happened on the return flight from Playa del Carmen, Cancun, where they had 3 or 4 people that missed the flight because the flight was completely sold out or overbooked. Prior to the CBX, we had traveled out of Tijuana many times, and I think the ideal person that's going to use the CBX is someone like myself, like someone that vacations in Mexico but doesn't maybe travel or go into Mexico on a regular basis. If you're traveling into Mexico on a regular basis and you have the Sentry for your vehicle, you can cross back and forth at the border within 15 or 20 minutes. So if you're a Sentry, if you're an individual with Sentry, absolutely, probably makes the most sense just to park at the airport, pay the parking fee there, and then you can drive back across without any issues. But for us, we don't have the Sentry. We don't go into Mexico on a regular basis. We don't drive into Mexico fairly often. We have global entry, which helps when you're walking back across. But prior to the CBX, what we would typically do is we would go down to Otay Mesa. We would park in one of the parking lots there, and then we would walk across. We would take a taxi, and the taxi right to the airport. And then when we return, we would get a taxi from the airport back to the Otay Mesa border crossing, and we'd walk across. And driving across is always a nightmare. So I would definitely avoid driving across unless you have the Sentry. But walking across in Otay Mesa or El Chaparral, which is like the newer border crossing over in San Isidro, that for the most part has been pretty smooth. And so my thing that I want you to take into consideration is, if you're a family of 4 or a larger group and you're paying $130+ to use the CBX, you can go to Otay Mesa, you can park, you can take a taxi for $20, and then when you return, you can take another taxi for $20. It's actually less going. It's like $15, and then coming back, it's about $20. So you're talking $35. And from a time standpoint, it has taken quite a while to get back into the US through the CBX the last few times that we've used it. The last time we deplaned, and from the time we got off the plane, got our bags, got through the long line just to get into the CBX, which they have typically a long line that builds up in the luggage and the baggage claim. To go through that line, to go through the line in the tunnel, to go down the elevators, and then to go through the line at the border, we were talking like an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes the last couple times. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. I think if you get off the plane in Tijuana, you grab your bags, you get to a taxi, the line walking across in Otay Mesa has usually never been more than like 15-20 minutes. And if you have global entry or ready lane pass, then you can get through even quicker. So that's my update for 2021. The other thing you need to consider is that there's a new pricing plan with CBX. They have a peak season and an off-peak season, so pricing will fluctuate. I'll put a link in the description to the pricing information on their website. So buy your tickets in advance, fill out your immigration form in advance. Keep in mind too, when you fill out the immigration form, if you're gonna stay there, I think for more than 6 days, you're gonna have to pay a visa fee. So I'm not telling you how to fill out your immigration form, but if you go for 3-4 days, 5 days, you'll be fine. You won't have to pay that additional $20 or so fee per person. But if you go longer than that, just be prepared to pay that fee and fill out the immigration forms online. Buy your CBX pass in advance online. That'll save you some time, but keep in mind the cost of using the CBX versus the cost of just doing it the old way, which is really fairly convenient, is something that you should keep in mind. So I hope you're having a great day, and I hope this video finds you well, and safe travels, especially through Mexico. Mexico is always one of our favorite places to go, and we always have a fantastic time. So talk to you soon.